Hey everybody, what's up? Thanks for tuning in. My name is Mike. I'm joined here with my good friend AJ.
Hello.
We are going to be reviewing horror movies that we watch, talking about them, giving some interesting trivia about it, some interesting facts. We're going to be just having a good time, kicking back, having some drinks. AJ's been watching horror movies since the dinosaurs were roaming around. I'm newer to them. I watched them here and there when I was younger, but I never got super into them. But now, that I've grown up, have my big boy pants on, starting to like them a little more, and he's introduced me to a lot of them. So through this podcast, we'll be getting a lot of, pro horror movie experience reviews and then my newbie reviews. And later down the road, we want to do some, watching it live and having commentary with it. But before we get into this, is there anything else you want to add to that?
No, not really.
All right. Well, that's fantastic. First and foremost, cheers, my friend.
Clink.
Tink. We got some beers here. Now, we've been planning this podcast for 2 or 3 years, so I'm glad we're finally getting to do it. Today, for our very first episode, we're going to be talking about The Wasteland. Now, what did you think about this fucking stupid kid?
He was annoying.
I tell you, I hate
Disobedient.
movies. Yeah, I hate movies. I mean, I get it. If you're a kid, now, we're jumping all over the place here already. This movie, do you want to read the synopsis before we get into how this kid annoys me and you?
Sure. So the synopsis is, a family that lives in isolation from the rest of society find their tranquility disturbed when a terrifying beast approaches them and tests the ties that bind the family together.
Fantastic. So basically, we're going to bounce around a little bit with it, but from the start, there's a mom, there's a dad, there's a kid. The mom does the general usual stuff that I can't stand, where she's like, don't let the boy become a man. And the dad's like, the boy ought to be a man. He's going to be a man. And the mom babies the kid, and then the kid turns out to be a little bratty shithead. And so that was pretty much, the first half hour of this movie?
Pretty much, yeah.
So the dad's trying to raise the kid. They're living in this time, I believe, what's going on? There's like a war going on, I think I read before when I first watched this and looked it up.
It does not say.
I think what it was, I don't know if I saw it on Reddit, is it takes place in a time like in the 1900s where there was a war going on, so people had to be isolated, and so they were out there, food supplies were not abundant and all that shit. They had to kind of live off the land, it looked like. And dad's trying to raise the kid, make him kill his rabbits, which are his only friends. That way they can have food and get used to skinning, hunting, all that stuff. And then, of course, every turn that the dad tries to teach the kid something, the mom, no, not today, he doesn't have to. No, he's not ready, blah, 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 blah. And so, later on, by the way, if you couldn't tell by the title, I want to say that I just want to give every form possible on this. If you couldn't tell by the title and the description, there's going to be spoilers. We're going to spoil pretty much every facet of this movie. So if you don't want spoilers, definitely don't watch. But
Or do go watch on Netflix because it is available there and then come back.
Exactly. That's even better than what I could have said myself. Now, I'm trying to think of how it really goes. I mean, that's just a lot of the beginning is just the mom being like, he's not ready, he's too young. What was he? 8, 9, 10, 11, what would you say?
About that age, yeah.
Yeah, one of those 70 ages I just listed. But, yeah. It kind of hits home for me because my mom, she was mentally abusive, she was crazy, and I say that with love. I feel bad, but it's a whole story, but she was very much like that towards me with the whole, don't teach him anything that could be dangerous, don't let him grow up, don't let him go have fun, don't let him swim in a creek with his cousins because, it could be dangerous, all this, that, and the other, so.
Overprotective,
exactly. And she had her good reasons and whatnot, but, this lady a couple times reminded me of my mom, and we'll get to that later because there's a scene where she threatened suicide, and that hit close to home. But, so, it comes to the kid's birthday. She makes him this crappy-looking cake or pie or whatever it was, and the dad wants to give him a shotgun, nice-looking double-barrel shotgun, wants to teach him how to shoot it. And, of course, it's one of those very predictable movies in a couple spots. Because as soon as the dad pulled out the shotgun, I knew that he was going to be, the mom was going to be like, he's too young for that. And that's exactly what happened. She was like, he's too young for that. Here, look at my present I got for you. Which, what did she even get him? I can't remember.
The tin cans as a phone.
Right, exactly. The stupid tin cans that come into play later. So dad's disappointed like usual. Looks like he hates his wife, hates his life, and I would too at that rate. But so eventually, the dad's outside. Looks like he's pondering on how much he hates his life. The kid runs up to him and says he notices something. There's a boat coming downstream with a super injured guy. Dad checks out the guy, and this is where I start really hating the kid, because the dad says, "Go to the house." Diego, that was his name, I think.
Yeah.
Says, "Diego, go to the house. There's a person that's probably a dead body, or they're severely wounded and maimed. You don't need to see this. Go to the house." The kid doesn't even try and go to the house or look towards the house. The kid just walks with him, right away following him like a fucking shadow. And then for the second time, the dad's like, "Go to the house." Diego just ignores him. And then sees the body, and he's all, "Ah, ah." Well, yeah, you little shit, if you would have just went to the house. So, that irritates me. Probably because it happens 50,000 times in the movie that he does this. But, so the mom gets Diego inside, and the dad starts trying to heal the guy's wounds. The guy comes up out of nowhere into the house and is gonna shoot Diego and the mom, which the mom is so oblivious. She's sitting there fiddle fucking with her hair, and Diego looks and sees the guy coming in the house all bloody and stuff, and Diego doesn't say anything because he's scared. The mom's busy looking in the mirror at herself and can't see for 2 seconds behind her that he's right there. I thought that was pretty stupid, but so the dad comes in, kills the guy, saves the family, and then of course, what's he do next? I wanted to give you some talk time. I didn't want to take all the talk time. He sees the guy's picture of his family. He's like, "I gotta take him back to his family. They ought to know what happened, blah, 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 blah." So, dad rides off into the sunset on his fucking horse, John Wayne style. And the kid...
awkwardly follows along.
Oh, yeah, of course. The mom's like, "Let's go inside." And, of course, the kid runs off and starts following the horse, just staring at him awkwardly. And then the dad's like, "Take care of your mother." And then he's off. And then he's gone. And it's pretty interesting, actually, because when I clicked on the movie and started watching it, it was in Spanish, and it had subtitles. So that's how I watched it. So then I came over to AJ's house today, and we were rewatching it just to make sure it was fresh on our minds. And it took me like 2 minutes to realize what was different. I was like, what is so different? It was in English automatically. So I got to watch it in Espanol and English, so that was interesting. Kids.
Fair warning, this is a Spanish film. Watch your foreign films. They are good.
They are really good. And I liked it in Spanish better than I liked it in English, to be honest. It felt like it was more with the tone, I guess. But, so anyway, the kid and mom, they start living together. The dad's supposed to be back in what do you say, a few days. If he didn't find the family, he'd be back. So, God, what was it? Month? Couple months?
About, yeah.
He was gone for a really long time.
Well, we never see him again. We'll just say that.
True. They could come out with a second one where he turns out to be on a boat and someone else finds him and kills him. You know, something stupid like that. But, excuse the burp. A lot of beer today. So the kid and mom are living together. The kid's a little brat like usual. And the mom, that's what I like about this movie, is you can't really tell if it's an actual monster or if it's supposed to be like an interpretation of fear, like one of those, you know, we're trying to be, you know, it's an amalgamation of fear, basically. It's a creature representing fear, because mom starts going kind of crazy, especially realizing that the dad's gone, and kid starts kind of going crazy. And I read up on Reddit, because after this I wanted to watch it, because I was like, that ending was kind of crazy. A lot of people say the mom and son both could have had a mental illness, and being out there alone in a house in the middle of nowhere where it's all creepy, they just got more crazy. And then, you know, like people say, all you should fear is fear itself, or all you can fear is fear itself. And the dad was talking about how his sister killed herself, and about the monster and all that, and how the monster gets stronger the more you fear it. So the monster could just be a representation of mental illness, and the more you fear your own mental illness and fear itself, the stronger it gets. One of those kind of things. Either way, that's kind of part of why I liked the movie. A lot of people hated it because of that, but I liked the kind of open-endedness to it. What do you think about that?
I was mainly worried that it was going to be kind of like a movie I watched last year called The Wolf of Snow Hollow, where you think it's this werewolf the whole time. In the end, it just turns out being some guy in a werewolf costume killing people.
Really?
So I thought it was going to kind of be like that, where there was no actual creature, and it was just the mom killing people. But turned out there was actually something paranormal going on.
Gets to the point where they're out of food. The mom tells the kid he has to kill the rabbit so they can eat, and he refuses to do it. So the mom starts hating and resenting the kid. Every time he tries to touch her, she's like, "Get off me!" Which is pretty satisfying with how much of a brat he's been the whole time. But then it gets to the point where they're boarding up the house because of this monster. The mom keeps seeing this monster, and she's shooting the double-barrel shotgun from, 200, 300 yards? How far?
Yep.
And if that's birdshot, she's just wasting the ammunition. And if it's slugs, I mean, with a double-barrel, the way she was aiming, I don't know.
She was shooting at the sky most of the time. Yeah.
Pretty much. So the mom was burning through all the ammo, shooting at what she was claiming to see, and so we get to where they're going to board up the house. The kid runs outside, and I think it was before this, he got mad at her, and he was going to try and go outside to defy her, and so he runs outside to save his stupid fucking rabbits, and he comes inside, and she smacks him in the face. They end up starving half to death because the kid won't kill the rabbits. Did the mom end up killing all the rabbits, or just one?
He ended up killing a rabbit when she was tied up.
Okay. So that's 2 rabbits we saw they killed, but didn't he have like a sack full of them?
He went outside to get the rabbits out of the shed, yeah.
Right. So after that, did they do anything with those rabbits? I can't.
He dropped the bag and they just ran amok in the house.
Right. I didn't know if they actually just started starving because the rabbits were running around the house. But so the kid starts thinking the mom's going crazy. In my opinion, the kid's going crazy too. Tries to sneak the shotgun from her, and it goes with her oblivious streak because he's scraping the shotgun along the floor. A deaf person could have heard it. Helen Keller, she would have been up doing karate kicks at this motherfucker. But this mom, she's just sitting there carving her little totem. So the kid makes a misstep because he thinks he sees the monster and he gets scared. The mom turns around, sees him. She's like, "What are you doing?" So he has taken the shell out of the gun, gives her back the gun, only after the threat of suicide. And this is what I was talking about earlier, where it reminds me of my own mother, because she always threatened suicide with this, that, or the other, would put knives up to her wrist with a lot of times. So that hit close to home to see for me too. So he gives her the gun back. She realizes the shell's not in it, and he locks her in the other room. Was it next time he checked on her after unboarding the room that she had that new haircut and that new dress, or...
No, I believe that was after he released her from the bed. After she tried to hang herself.
Right.
Which is very smart. Leave your child out in the wilderness alone by himself.
Oh, for sure. So she tries to hang herself. Then he ties her up. The monster throws the can in the room. The kid throws it back. The can with the string. That way they can talk to each other at the beginning like we were talking about.
Science.
Yes, of course. So the kid picks up the can and the monster says, "I spy," which is what the mom and kid are playing this whole time. So the kid throws the can again, tries to get the mom out of there, and eventually it gets to the point where the mom's in like this new red dress. She's got a haircut, and she's gone completely crazy. She's rocking a totem in the baby, what is that? Baby
Cradle.
Cradle, yeah. And the monster's at like the head of the table. And she's talking to it and talking to Diego like, "Oh, maybe we can go tomorrow. We got nothing to do. We can go down to the lake and, be the hee-haw fuck around gang." And then the kid was like, "Hey, I need to go to the outhouse." And the mom said, "Why don't you take him to the monster?" Quote unquote. If there was a real monster, if it was a amalgamation of mental illness, whatever it was.
It looked like an alien.
That could have been too. But
Not saying it was an alien, but it looked like a Star Wars alien.
It did, like the ones where they're like, "Hey, we made the clones for you."
Super skinny, long
neck ones, yeah. But so the kid was smart at least for once, and he was like, "No, Mom, I want you to take me to the monster." So the mom throws the kid outside and locks him out. And what did she say? The monster wants me. He craves me.
He desires me.
So full disclosure, I thought the monster was going to start sucking on her toes and licking her feet, but apparently it was going to kill her. So the kid finds an axe, breaks in the door, goes in to save her.
A little ripoff from The Shining.
Of course,
He's literally
yeah.
busting down the door with an axe.
Exactly. Here's Johnny. So she's holding a knife laying on the floor, all bloodied up, which I want to talk about that at the end, and we're going to circle around to that. But, she's laying on the floor, half dead. The monster comes in, and Diego goes in front of the mom and stops the monster. And he's like, get away from her, get away, get away, get away. Hiya, go on, get! And that makes the monster get weaker, which plays on the whole, the more you fear it, the stronger it gets, yada, yada, yada. So the monster gets weakened down because he's not afraid of it, shoots it once, it's presumably dead. He takes the mom out. She ends up croaking, so he takes her out into the river and sends her in a fucking box downstream. Not really a box. He sends her just floating.
Literally not in a box at all.
Yeah, no, that was a joke. That was put her in a box floating down the fucking river. And at the end of the movie, after he sees his mom, which by the way, at this point he's wearing like this cowl, this cape.
He looks like a Padawan from Star Wars.
He looks like it looks like a Star Wars scene at the end of it, where he's like a Skywalker that's going off on his journey to find the way of the Force or some shit. But you can see the monster that was supposedly dead in the reflection of his eye. And a couple people might have missed that little notice, but it shows the monster still alive, and then as he's walking away, you can see it kind of in the background. So, to me, if you take it at face value, there was a monster or an alien, and it was going after this kid and his mom and all that, and he weakened it enough to where it went away, and now it still kind of follows him, but he can kind of keep it at bay by not being afraid. Or if you go with the movie's just talking about mental illness and fear being fueled by more fear and stronger, it could be that the kid and his mom got a mental illness, and the mom was seeing something, and so the kid started seeing something, because I think this kid got traumatized. At the beginning, he saw that dead dude in the boat, or half dead at least.
And the guy shot himself.
Exactly. And so the kid was just traumatized at this point, and seeing the mom go crazy, 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 I'm sure he could have started seeing something too. And so going with the whole like fear thing, I think at the end he was able to fight his fear or mental illness or whatever it was, and it went away in that moment so he could try and save his mom. And then the ending was kind of like a nod, being like, once you have a mental illness or mental scarring or go through some kind of heavy trauma, that it's always there in the background, but as long as you don't fear it and keep it at bay, that's where it stays, as the background instead of attacking you. But that's taking, macaroni art and trying to make a Picasso out of it possibly, but it's an interesting take.
I want to ask you something. So do you find it more disturbing in not knowing what happens to the father, or if they would actually shown what happened to him?
I think I'm aggravated that they didn't show it. I think it would have been more disturbing to see it because of how this movie went. I think he would have just been split in half or some crazy gory shit. But I think it would have been more disturbing to see it. I think it's more annoying to not know, because it's like, if this all was an illusion of mental illness, when his satchel came back out of nowhere,
It's hinted that monster killed him because his stuff
Right.
shows up, empty gun, and
but if there's not a monster, my first thought, because when I was watching it my first time through, I'd look down to get, I don't remember what it was, get my phone, check a text message or something. When I looked back up, all I saw was the mom shooting, and I saw the satchel, and I thought I saw a body in front of it. It was wrong.
it looked like a torso.
It kind of did. So if we go on the like synopsis of the mom just went completely mentally insane, my thought at first was like, holy shit, did the dad come back and she thought it was a monster and she shot him and didn't actually see the body there because she went so crazy, or thought of it as a monster, so maybe she killed the dad when he came back. But that's...
I don't know if you noticed it or not, but I think that creature was supposed to be some kind of... The guy that shot himself, if you look at the creature good enough, it looks like part of his head is blown away.
Okay, I can kind of see that, yeah, thinking back to what it looks like in my head.
So I think that creature is supposed to be like some kind of spirit or something of the guy that killed himself in their cabin.
Well, It might have been, but at the same time, the dad was telling that story about that same creature that his sister saw as a kid that made her kill herself. This supposedly being that same creature, so it's supposedly been around for decades. But
Oh yeah, by the way, the his sister kills herself.
oh yeah, by the way, if you didn't figure that out yet, spoiler alert. Yeah, no. So the dad tells the kid the story at the beginning that when he and his sister were kids, the sister saw the monster, and apparently once you see the monster, your life is all downhill from there. And the sister ended up jumping out of the second story and killing herself or whatever it was. And then when the kid, Diego, asked the mom about that story, way after the dad had left when the mom was going crazy, he was like, it's got to be the monster like dad was talking about. And she was like, no, his sister was beaten by the parents, so she just jumped out to end all her suffering or something. So, I mean, it's interesting. You can take it either way. Mental illness, manifestation, or an actual monster, or... Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of... Unless the film directors and producers themselves come out and say this is exactly what we were going for, there's no real way. Because it feels like it purposely left it kind of open-ended.
I mean, I've seen some things online where it says ending explained. Maybe we should read that at some point, see what they say.
Maybe we should. Well, what else do we want to talk about with this movie? I'm going to get another drink and let you do a little bit more talking.
Oh, well, the woman and her son, Diego, they like to do a lot of weird shit together.
Yeah, they do.
Like, Diego is peeing in a bucket, and she's peeing in a bucket right next to each other and just talking like it's a normal thing.
They were too scared to go to the outhouse, and she kept laughing and staring at him while he's doing it. And he's like, "Oh, I'll miss the pot."
Stop making me laugh, Mom.
But and I'm gonna, full disclosure, it might be a cultural thing because this was supposed to take place in a different country, but to me it just felt really weird, like with the bath scenes. The first bath scene, her and the kid were playing in the bath. The dad kept bringing him a bucket of what I'm assuming is hot water to keep the water warm. And they take a second bath in the movie. After they have this really weird standoff where the mom's like, "Don't touch me." And she's like, "You stink." And the kid's like, "You stink too." And then it cuts to them in the bathtub. And the kid's mentioning how cold the water is. So I don't know if that's a nod to how the dad used to put hot water in it or whatever. But the way the mom was just like, so close to him and staring at him just felt off. And then she just kept trying to dunk him under the water and shit to do the little, like, how long can you hold your breath game and stuff.
Yeah, 2 times in this movie they play the who can hold their breath the longest, because I guess that's the most entertaining thing to do in this time period in this place.
And the mom was under there for like 40 seconds and the kid tried to pull her up and she wouldn't come up. I don't know. The mom towards the end felt like rapey to me, but like I said, it could just be a cultural thing. Something else I did want to add was what could also tie into the mental illness theory is if they were starving. I mean, even if they ate those rabbits, I mean, 2 rabbits for 2 people over a month, or, you know, they had their little bit of vegetables they had left and stuff. But if they were starving, or at least super, super, super hungry and malnourished, mixed with a mental illness, that could easily start, you know, projecting some kind of hallucinations, but...
That's another thing, is this mother tried to show this kid how to feed himself, how to defend himself, and he wanted nothing to do with it.
Well, it was too little too late, in my opinion, because she spent the whole little bastard's life being like, "No, he does not have to learn. It's okay. He can be a little shit forever." And the dad, you know, was trying to teach him. And then, in the shit when it actually mattered, she's like, "Come on, do it, go!" There's a part where she was like, "Climb up the chimney and shoot this thing for me." That's like, if you have a kid and you have a fire extinguisher in the house, and every time the kid asks about it, you're like, "No, you're not going to get to learn what that is today. You're not old enough. You're not going to learn how to use that." And then, all of a sudden, the kid's like 9 or 10, and a giant fire erupts, and he's like, "What do I do?" And she's like, "Grab it and shoot it." "What do you mean, what do you do? It's a fire extinguisher." It's like she deprived him of this survival knowledge and information and how to be a basic functioning human being to turn around and be like, trying to give a crash course in one day about it. So I think the mom is the real fucking horror of this horror movie.
I think they're both terrible, but overall it's a pretty good movie.
I feel sorry for the dad. That guy, he probably just went away and didn't come back because of how fucking unbearable she was and the kid was. The kid was a brat. She was feeding into the bratism and letting him not have to do anything. And yeah, I mean, the dad just stayed away, or he just blew his brains out, or saw the monster and was like, "Yeah, take me, please."
The kid did finally find his balls, though, near the end of the movie when he stood up. He stood between the creature and his mom and said, "Leave her alone."
Exactly.
He ends up shooting the creature once with their last shell. And then he just says, fuck it. I'm just going to set the cabin on fire with the creature in here.
Forgot about the cabin catching on fire. So that's what I was talking about earlier with the whole, he wasn't afraid of it anymore, so it got weaker. And then I forgot, he gets the mom out, catches the cabin on fire, and it's creature shot and supposedly burnt up. And then you see it in the reflection of his eye and kind of behind him at the end of the movie, following him. So, yeah, I mean, I kind of hope they make a second one, to be honest. A lot of people hated it, but I personally gave it 4 out of 5 stars, and basically like a 7 out of 10 rating myself.
And my rating went down half the second watch. I couldn't remember much from the first time, but I gave it a 6.5.
I would definitely recommend watching it. I don't know. I mean, I would recommend the Spanish version, obviously. I mean, I feel like that was kind of how it was intended. Just like with Squid Games. I don't know if you ever saw that.
I did.
I love Squid Games. I would not watch the English dub. I thought the Korean dub was beautiful. I don't know. Some people just are lazy and don't like subtitles. Or they, have a problem with foreign languages, which, what the fuck ever. What else do we want to talk about this movie? We're at about 30 minutes already. It's a pretty good start to the podcasting. I guess we should tell a little bit more about our situation right now. We are stranded in the middle of the woods. Please help us. No, I'm just kidding. We are in a cabin in the woods right now. Dark and creepy outside. A lot of little cracks and bumps here and there. We're drinking, having a good time. That's where we're going to be shooting all our podcasts, hence the name of our podcast, which we did not definitely come up with like 5 minutes before filming this, is Lone Cabin Cinema. I'm not going to thank AJ for that name because we were sitting here brainstorming and we came up with different ones like, the microphone in the middle of the woods, Lost or Missing in the Woods podcast, all sorts of different shit. 2 buddies, 1 cabin, all sorts of stuff. I thought of that one because I enjoy Bert Kreischer and Tom Segura's 2 Bears, 1 Cave, so I thought of that one. But I think what we ended up landing on, thanks to AJ, was pretty damn stellar. So what we kind of want to do with this is we were thinking 2 a week or 2 a month.
Bi-weekly for now. Yeah.
Bi-weekly, that's what it was. 2 a week. Jesus, we'd be fucking strung out alive. So 2 a month for now. And you had a movie in mind for the next one. Why don't we tell them about that?
I do. It's a movie that holds a big place in my heart. I saw it first when I was maybe like 8 or 9 years old. It is called Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
And I have not seen that one, so I'm going to have to get on watching that. Do you own that, or do you have to rent that?
I believe I do have it.
Okay, well, that's going to be solid then. I will watch that and give my honest review of that. And we're not paid by anybody. We got no reason to lie about anything. So if I watch a movie and I think it totally blows ass chunks, I'm going to say it. I'll say why. I'm not just going to be like, I hate a movie for no reason.
And then I will beat him with a stick if he doesn't like it.
Of course. We'll engage in Mortal Kombat, all that good stuff. But we want to do some episodes where we just review one singular movie. We want to do some where we review, trilogies.
Franchise shows.
Exactly. And we want to do our favorite movies of all time versus our least favorite. And at the end of the year, we want to do our favorite versus least favorite of 2022. So, or do we want to just do favorites? How do we want to do that?
Probably a top 10.
Okay, that'll work with me.
I think I've seen maybe 10 that have come out so far this year. And this was probably The Wasteland was probably my second favorite to come out this year so far.
I think I've only seen 4 that's come out this year. But we will talk about all those on a different episode. Yeah, I'm excited for this podcast, man. I think it's going to go really well. I'll tell you one thing I like about the movie was the music they used in it. The score, it was really good. It was great music because it was pleasant on the ears, first of all. And second of all, it built a really good atmosphere. I mean, even just simple shit like the music going kind of calmly and nonchalantly, then it stops really abruptly, and then it kind of turns to horror and has that kind of violin, you know what I'm talking about.
The James Wan Insidious kind of thing.
Exactly. So, I'll tell you guys what, guys and gals, if you haven't seen this movie, or if you have, comment down below. Tell us what you think about it. If you haven't seen it, go watch it if that tickles your fancy. I think it's worth a watch. I definitely do. I watched it the second time here with AJ, and I was just as content as the first time watching it. I would definitely, I'd watch it a third time, I think. But just comment down below. Let us know what you like or dislike about the movie. What else you want to talk about?
What else did you watch this week?
Oh, shoot. Did I watch anything else this week? How am I supposed to remember my life anymore?
You watched a pretty major movie for the first time.
Oh, right. I forgot that was this week. So, little bonus snippet, just to keep the podcast rolling a little longer. I'm not going to get we will have a full episode on this, I'm sure, a really long one. But the movie I watched was probably the most atrocious, god-awful horror movie I've ever seen in my life. It's called Jack and Jill. Adam Sandler plays himself and his sister, and it gave me nightmares. Is it his sister that he plays? And Al Pacino wants to, get some pussy? Is that what?
It is, but you have thrown me off because that is not the movie I was talking about.
Oh, man. So, no, the movie I really watched was The Shining with Jack Nicholson. I love Jack Nicholson, man. I think he's a fantastic actor. I have never seen The Shining, but I knew what the references were from it and stuff, and thought I knew pretty much the whole synopsis of it, but I didn't really know anything about it. That's a fantastic movie. Like I said, we're going to have a whole talk about that in another episode, so I'm not going to spoil too much, but that is by far worth a watch. I mean, if you want to choose between watching this or that, bar none, watch The Shining, because that thing's amazing. And what, did it come out in 1980?
1980, yep.
It's like you were talking about earlier. 1980 films really seem to hold up well when it comes to horror, just movies in general, 70s and 80s movies. What did you think of The Shining? I mean, I know that's one of your favorites.
Well, I am a big fan of Stephen King, and I plan on doing a couple of episodes themed around him, so we will save that for then.
Fair. I'm excited for that. I love Stephen King stuff as well. What did you get me into listening to an audiobook? It was the
Dark Tower.
Dark Towers, right. So I started listening to that on audiobook, and I'm sure we can... there's a movie out about that, but it's nothing like the books.
There is, but
right?
I refuse to watch it.
Fair, yeah. It looked like it was nothing like the books. We can talk about that at some point, even though it's not the cinema version we're talking about, but great stuff. I'm in the third book right now. I think I'm like 3 hours in or something like that. I haven't listened to it in a while. I haven't had a chance, but fantastic stuff on that front. Anything else we want to cover? We're about 35 minutes in. I feel like we've done pretty well for a first one, unless there's anything we have forgotten.
Not too bad for a 5-minute thing.
Yeah, no
5-minute prep.
I do want to say, first and foremost, I have several different channels, and I'm going to be posting this to all those different ones. So if you come over from any of those channels, thank you so much. I appreciate it. So my channels are Big Mike King 77. It's a gaming channel / vlog channel. And then I have Big Mike King 77 podcast channel, where I have my own singular podcast. And then I have King's Clips 77, which is, fun little gaming clips. If you're playing GTA and a pedestrian does something crazy and then gets hit by a car out of nowhere, little clips like that. I have a TikTok, if that tickles your fancy. It's Mike's Karate Journey 77. I'm a martial artist in karate, and that's some pretty good stuff. I will link all that stuff down below. AJ doesn't really have anything he wants to promote unless he wants to surprise me here. I want to give him a chance to if he has anything.
I have nothing.
Fair. I want to give him a fair shot. I didn't want to be like, I have these 5,000 things, and AJ doesn't have to talk. He doesn't need to say anything. But, yeah, I'm excited for this, and I really want this to just be like a casual, fun thing. I don't want it to be like any kind of thing we take too serious, or I'm going to write a letter because of this movie, I'm so angry. It's like, I want this to be a place where people can just come, crack a few beers with us, listen, or if they're at work working, just pop an earbud in, listen, and just fuck around and have some fun. That's my podcast mission with this. How about you? What do you have to add to that? Well, that's great. That's all the time we have. No, go ahead.
I'm done.
Okay, well, fantastic. So the band has broken up. We had a good long 36-minute run, but we are now retiring.
A lot of good times.
But no, anything else you want to add?
No.
Okay. I don't know if you guys can hear that in the audio, but we have dogs barking all around us in the woods out of nowhere, so creepy stuff. It's always fun. But thank you all for tuning in to this first podcast. And like I said, just comment down below what you thought of the movie. If you've seen it, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. As for now, we're just on YouTube for this little beginning bit, but eventually we want to be on everything, Spotify, whatever else there is, God. iTunes. The stupid little tin can cup that the mom and son had. They talk to each other through strings. Want to be on that. And
eventually get on Patreon, get some extra stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll talk about it more when it comes time, but we're wanting to do some big stuff with Patreon. We don't want it to just be like, and if you pay this money, we will thank you. Like, we want to be able to do something that actually entertains you guys. So, I don't know. We might. Well, that's where we'll be doing most of our like watch along commentary stuff, and we can watch a movie with the people on there and comment along with it live. I don't know.
Read your bedtime stories.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, tuck you in at night. If we get like a $500 tier, we can tase each other and throw rocks at each other. I don't know. Whatever.
Maybe explore some haunted locations live.
That would be fun, but that'll cost you. That'll cost you extra. Well, don't really think we have anything else to add, so I think we're going to sign off here. But thank you all for watching. Stay spooky, stay
Listening,
spoopy.
not watching.
Well, that's it. We're retired once again. The band got back together. But no, we appreciate you guys. Make sure to subscribe if you enjoy it. And we'll catch you next time.
We're going to go fight to the death now.
See you, everybody.